1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Laid on the Table, the Southern Board Game Podcast with the accent on Southern. As per usual, I am one of your hosts, Joe Mahaffey, and I am joined today by my good friend,
James Englehart. Good to be here, Joe. Yeah.
I just kept going. I couldn't stop. I was like, I might as well just have said your name.
You were on fire. It was on fire.
Well, I was looking at the videos that I finally got posted. Yes, we're finally back on the Spotify, the Apple, all the places. And it occurred to me I was pretty low energy the last time. And I think it's because we've moved our recording time from mid-morning, early afternoon to evening after a long day's work. And I just gotta, pump myself up at a time when I'm not pumping anything up because of Lent.
Well, I was going to say, that's a little whiskey or a beer beforehand would have, but it's good. Or extra coffee, but you don't want to do extra coffee, right? 7:30.
No, but
we're old enough that's not a good choice.
I did though. I did have a kombucha, a hum kombucha, not a sponsor.
Okay.
Kombucha, about 5:30.
They are tasty.
That does kind of perk you up. Okay.
Excellent.
So let's get into it.
Let's do.
I do have some things for news and notes, and the first thing the first thing I want to cover off is not in there. Early in this podcast, you and I did an interview with the artist Buddy Finethy.
We did, yes. He was a super good guy.
And he still is a super good guy.
I assume so.
He has had some medical issues.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That involved a little bit of a coma, I believe.
A little bit of a coma? There's no little bit of a coma. It's like being a little bit pregnant. It's like
honestly, I think it's because they took him to a medical facility in Alabama and he just didn't want to wake up. But
that's fair.
With apology to the people.
You don't want to wake up in Alabama. No.
They gave us the great city of Huntsville and Redstone Arsenal and most importantly, Space Camp. One of my favorite movies from my childhood.
It is true.
But I was noticing on his Facebook that he was talking a little bit about it. And he also recently had a pulmonary embolism, but he's fine.
Oof.
So he's just going through stuff.
That's a hell of that's a lot of
so so I just wanted to call it out and just say, hey, he's a friend of the show. Let's give him love. This is what I could not find. I believe my wife explained to me that there might be a GoFundMe.
Oh, okay.
And if there is, I will get it into the show notes or I'll mention it in a future podcast. No obligation, of course, but for those of you who may recall, he was the artist who did all of the interiors of the original Mellow Mushroom before he left a few years back, was the artist that did Mel and Fun Guy and all those great characters that you run into in a Mellow Mushroom. And he really worked to to design each location in a unique way.
Yeah.
And then he's also one of the arbiters of Toy Atlanta and Joe Lanta, which are two big toy shows that take place once a year. And, and he's also had his artwork featured on shows like Stranger Things. So just a little reminder as to who we're talking about and what that's about. So I just want to kind of get that out there in the ether sphere. More to come as I get more information. Shame on me. I didn't really ask permission to mention this, but he's on it. So, my attitude is if you put it on Facebook, fair game.
Facebook is, that is public. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this other thing I want to get into before we talk about the Danielle thing is that my oldest daughter, God love her. She for the first time in her life has a cat.
Oh, yay.
Because her father was and still is horribly allergic to cats.
No, I'm sorry, man. So don't ever come into my house.
Yeah, I know. I've seen the pictures on
you can, just mask up and take all the meds, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
is this the little cross-eyed dude that's okay?
Yeah. So this cross-eyed dude comes to us from Spartanburg, actually.
I've heard that place.
He was one of the litters that ended up with the stray feral cats in my in-laws' backyard. And Sarah saw this cat and decided that he's mine. And
I mean,
so
that's a fine looking kitty.
went through the process of domestication, rescued him, got him, all the shots, all the taken care of kind of stuff. And now he is this cat that she's been putting on Instagram and TikTok and all these things through mostly Instagram. I think he's got his own Instagram. If I can find it, I'll put it in the show notes.
That'd be awesome.
So she heard about this America's Favorite Pet.
Oh,
and Teddy.
Well, I mean, he's got he's clearly a Siamese,
a little bit of Siamese, a little bit of Maine, I think, because he's big.
A little bit of he's a big kitty, and then also just your basic tabby. But he's a handsome dude.
The mom's an orange tabby. Pure.
Oh, okay.
Pure. Yeah. So anyway, I'm putting this here because he has made it through the 2 gates. He's in the last gate. He's been in first place. He's in second place. You can vote every day. It doesn't cost you anything to vote, but it can if you want to buy votes. And today,
right. And the money goes to
goes to rescue pets and
awesome.
Those
awesome.
It's all on the website. I'm not going to pretend to promote it. I'm just I'm not asking anybody to donate to Teddy but I would like for you to vote for him because it doesn't cost anything.
Because it's your daughter and the dog and the kitty. Oh, he's a pretty dude.
That would be great. So he's going to be in the show notes. His name's Teddy.
Hello, Teddy.
He is the reason why when she comes to see us that I get to take a Zyrtec and a Pepcid AC, and if it gets really bad, I add the third cocktail, which is the Benadryl.
Yeah. And then you go to sleep.
Which, by the way, people who take chemotherapy, I think we've just become a doctor show.
Well, apparently we have.
People who take chemotherapy, they will give them that cocktail to avoid allergic reaction. It's it was recommended to me, and I have discovered that it's also great if you're allergic to cats. So there you go. There you have it.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like it should be a game mechanism, like which meds should you take if you've got to fulfill this recipe? Yeah,
that could work.
It could be.
Isn't that already called some sort of potion explosion or?
Yeah, maybe not potion explosion, but certainly Quacks of Quedlinburg. Yeah.
There is potion explosion, which is very similar to Quacks of Quedlinburg.
I mean, I feel like potion explosion is more like
rip off of.
No, it's more like it's more like the pick 3 and they go away kind of.
Yeah.
What a Candy Crush and all of those. So yeah.
Okay, fine. I don't know. I've never played it, so I'm just supposing by the title. I'm judging a book by its cover. I
was gonna say, yeah. I know a lot about. Yeah, go ahead, go, and then we've got Danielle, Arbiter of Chaos.
You got Danielle. So, so I have mentioned on this podcast before that I have been listening to another podcast called Pod Meets World, and it's the cast of Boy Meets World from 1996, 1995, 96 to 2000. 3 of the cast members, Ryder Strong. Yeah, that's his name, Ryder Strong. Will Friedle.
We should all be so lucky. Yeah.
Will Friedle, and that is how you say it. It is pronounced Friedle and not Friedel.
Good.
Will, by the way, is a well-known D&D gamer. He also had a show for a while on one of the Critical Role channel where he did mini painting.
Okay.
Which I thought
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And almost like it was a late night show.
Okay.
And, and then of course Danielle.
It's just happy accidents. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Danielle Fishel, who played Topanga.
Okay.
On the show, named for Topanga Canyon, I guess.
That makes sense.
So they talk a lot on their podcast about how Ryder Strong got into Magic the Gathering when it first came out back in the 90s.
Yes.
And he turned Will Friedle onto Magic the Gathering. And, so there's a whole cadre of actors and production people who found their way to Magic the Gathering because of the show. And they keep talking about it. And they travel around and they're doing these live shows. And about a month ago, they were in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And one of their fans came up to them at the con table where I guess they were doing their, autograph thing, and handed each of them a custom deck of Magic cards that he made, where the characters on the cards
This is awesome.
are based on either things that happened in the show or things that they've talked about on the podcast.
This is amazing.
And they're, according to Will Friedle,
yeah,
these are not just, cute little hokey things. You can actually use them in gameplay.
Wow.
So
that's a fantastic. I'm looking all there's like what, a half dozen of these?
Yeah, and there's probably even more. I just grabbed the Instagram link that from Pod Meets Show, Pod Meets World. Oh, they have an Instagram, and Danielle curates all the pictures, and she took close-ups of the pictures and
the jacket,
put them up.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so they've just got some great stories behind all of these cards. And so I'll just tell you one, and since you brought up the jacket. This leather jacket was worn by several members of the cast during the duration of the show, and it ranging from Will Friedle's character Eric to Harvey Kleiner, who was the bully, and finally it settled to be Ryder Strong's character Sean Hunter.
Okay.
And after the show was over, Ryder Strong was living in New York. He had the jacket, and it was stolen out of his car. And years ago, and he's never seen it since. And they were doing, they were doing their live show in Philly, and a fan, or the manufacturer of the jacket, or somehow a replica of the jacket, ended up in their hands, and Danielle presented it to him at the show in Philly.
That's fantastic.
And they were rushing to the airport. They dropped off their rental car. They were on the bus to the rental car. They were gathering their luggage. He got all the way to the ticket counter and realized he left the jacket on the bus, and it has not been found. And so they have decided that the jacket is not meant to be owned.
That's fair.
The story of the card. So anyway,
but I also like there's also this other card, creatures without flying cannot attack you. Hold the plane for Minkus.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you to do.
Okay.
I will find, actually it should tell you in the Instagram. If you go to the link, you can find the episode on iHeartRadio's Pod Meets World and listen to this episode. They talk about it right at the beginning. It's maybe the first 10 minutes of the show, and then you can hear the rest of the interview if you like, which was actually a pretty good one.
Awesome.
So anyway, it's one of my guilty pleasures. I listen to it every week.
Fantastic.
And they've actually, it's been very educational. It's not just been an homage to a show, but anyway, that's nothing to do with board games, but it's game adjacent.
It is. Yeah.
It's Magic the Gathering, and it's Will Friedle, who I would love to get on this podcast. Will,
sure.
You want to come on this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. With that said, we'll move on. So that's enough with news and notes. Let's get to what's on the table. I am going to go first because I have fewer than you, and we are game adjacent in the middle.
We are. Yeah.
So why don't we just do that? So as I mentioned last time, I've been doing this game small group at the game store.
Yes.
With friends of mine from church.
Yes. Yeah.
Since we last were together, we played Parks for the second time.
How was that? How'd that go?
It went great. I mean, the people, it was on the heels of learning Wingspan.
Right.
So there was this, as I mentioned previously, that mechanic change. But I think there was, of course, they're beginning that there's this affinity for the beauty of the artwork.
Oh yeah.
Very comparable. The work.
Oh, it's such good. Yeah. It's such a pretty game. And I love Parks because it's super streamlined and so pretty.
And I'm, what's been really fun for me in this whole process is that Dale and I play a lot of games, but we play them as 2-player.
Right.
And,
right. Oh yeah.
And so now we're kind of in a position because we have 12 people signed up. Not everybody shows up, so you have about 2 games of 5 at max.
Oh yeah.
Because Dale and I are 11 and 12, so we can actually step out of the game and kind of instruct on the periphery.
Oh, it's kind of a fun space to be, isn't it? Would you like? Because I do this with my students. I'm like, No, I'm just gonna, and you're like, I'm kind of game mastering of it in a way, but you're just like, how's everybody doing? What are we doing? Yeah,
Do you really want to do that? Do you really
yeah.
want to
Ooh, remember this rule? Oh, can I
Joe?
take that back? You can totally take that back. I don't care what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't mean to talk over you. This is the ADD medication wearing off.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
Which is something we come into in the next game, but the parks was very well received, and it was really funny because, the people that are like, oh, they have this for sale here in the store.
That's awesome.
Can they order it?
Do you get kickbacks from the store?
No.
Or they should be a sponsor, is the other way of saying that, I suppose. Yeah.
They should be. Well, they are letting me rent the tables.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which I insisted on because I'm taking up 2 tables on a Sunday, and I'm depriving somebody from that opportunity of a freshly opened pack of Magic.
Ooh.
I don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. So
okay.
That's so your crew was loving and playing parks and having a good time.
Yes.
Awesome.
And so now we're moving. So originally, as I think I said the last time, originally we were going to do a game a week.
Right. And then they were like, no, let's double it up.
And quickly learned that no, it's better for the muscle memory if you play the same game 2 weeks in a row.
Yep. That makes sense.
So from parks, we moved on to Mariposas. Mariposas being the third Elizabeth Hargrave's game.
Yes.
Designed and released. Wingspan being the first. Do you know the second?
Yeah. Tassimasi.
Tassimasi, that's right, which is a pocket game.
Really fantastic little pocket game.
Which I'm thinking was originally her jam when Jamie told us that when he first got Wingspan, it was more of just a card game.
Yeah. And it's such a good, and talking with my friend who's the manager at the game store here, or the best game store here. There are other ones, but anyway, but he was like, it goes in and out of print, in and out of production. And I'm like, oh, I don't know why it's just not eternally in production, because it's a fantastic little game.
Well,
Mariposas is also a fun game.
Yeah, we backed Tassimasi when it was first going through it, and then the expansion. And I think I must have 3 copies of it.
You are the OG, man, in terms of Tassimasi.
No, it was just one of those games that we thought the girls would like. So Dale put them in like stocking stuffer kind of stuff,
Oh yeah, no, it's perfect for that. Yeah,
pocket game. So I think that's why.
And it's so good.
3.
Yeah.
But this week we moved on to Mariposas, which is
how did that go?
Well, it was very interesting.
Okay.
There were a couple things I noticed. As for those of you who've heard me talk about this game before, it's a completely different strategy than any other game we've played, because it's I always liken it to chess, where you have the ability to think a few moves ahead in terms of what you're going to do.
You can, and people can't stop you. Right.
Exactly. And that is interesting to me from a gameplay perspective.
And you can't. No, you really can't. You're just going. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's and so for the uninitiated,
yes,
Mariposas, you start with the first generation of butterflies from I'm going to say it wrong, Michoacan.
Oh man, I know it's
in Mexico.
Michoacan.
We'll say that it's Michoacan. Yeah. I've heard it said so many different ways. I don't even know how to say it anymore. Michoacan sounds right. So your first generations leaves Michoacan and they enter the United States.
And these are
monarch butterflies.
Monarch butterflies. Yep.
Then when they reach certain milkweed stations along the way, if they have the resources, which are plants, pollen, they may hatch another generation. So in the first go around, you're trying to get your second generation out, and if you're lucky, you might get one of your third.
But then you want to head back down south to Michoacan.
Not yet. That's spring, and then in summer, you have another set of objectives. And those objectives could be no butterflies south of Atlanta, and no butterflies west of Chicago or something like that. There's variations on it. And so you have to kind of
and you pull out cards to do that, right? These are sort of randomly determined. Yeah.
But they're set at the beginning.
Yes.
So, the first go is 4 moves. The second go, the first round is 4 moves, spring. Second round is 5 moves, summer. The third round is 6 moves, fall. And it's in the fall that you have to get back to Michikoan. Probably just said it wrong again.
Yes.
But what was interesting for me is a couple things. Number one, it was the first game that was really more card driven for movement.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Rather than dice or some other mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And I explained the rules, and I didn't do as much hand holding as I'm watching.
The hand holding thing is interesting. Okay.
Well, I'm watching a competency develop as people kind of get their game vocabulary experience. And so I'm trying not to, mansplain everything about the game. And so making choices like letting their 3rd generation butterfly go all the way to Portland, Maine, as opposed to their 2nd generation.
It is understood. You can do that, and there are bonuses up there that you could potentially that could be helpful. But
But the thing is, I always try to use the oldest generation to go the farthest because they come off the board at the end of the season.
Right.
And so you want your number 3 close to Michikoan so that you can become number 4s, and only 4s can go home. So there's 4 generations of butterflies. So anyway, it was just kind of interesting. I did not win.
That's fair. How did the other people, did they like it?
They seem to like it. They seem to really get into it. There were just some interesting choices made along the way, but I think they were good choices.
Okay.
Everybody scored north of 20 points,
which is good.
Dale actually won for the first time ever.
Woo. Go Dale, go.
In the years that we've had this game. But I think, and we're going to play it again this Sunday. And I think it was just a really nice change of pace. And of course, just a reminder, it's a great game. And what I love about Elizabeth Hargrave games is that, I was trying to, I said a minute ago, oh, that must be her jam, is the card thing. No, I think her jam is unique ways to look at the life cycle of nature.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%.
Whether it's Wingspan, Tussie Mussy, Flowers, Mariposa's Butterfly, the Fox Experiment.
The Fox Experiment
is, so I think that
and her consultation on a game we'll be talking about here in a minute. But yeah,
exactly. Okay, so and the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get over to you. We'll segue into you, I should say.
We'll segue into a balance here, but it's like But so what's this? This one seems like an older game.
Yeah, it is. It's been around since the 1400s, I think, maybe even longer. It's called chess.
I've heard of this.
It's not.
How did this show up? Have you been playing chess or what's?
It's not the ABBA-based musical with Murray Head. It's an actual board game,
which is probably good. Yeah,
it was Cold War intrigue from the 1980s. One Night in Bangkok.
Mm-hmm. There it is. There it is.
No, I had just pulled out the Crowns chess set that I was complaining about on a previous podcast,
and I was hoping this would be where we're going. So how is that?
It's beautifully put together.
That's so good.
And it was a lot of fun. So Maggie played it with her friend Kel, and then I pulled it out of the game store and kind of walked everybody through it. So that was kind of fun too.
That's
and then of course, before we started getting ready for Mariposas, we did play a couple of games of Wormspan and just sort of, each, finding new and more creative ways to play that game. I for one have finally found some different types of strategy that kind of work for me. I've already talked about this game ad nauseum, and I've done a lot of talking today. So I'm going to turn it over to you since it's also on your list of what's on your team.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It showed up, which was super fun. My birthday was yesterday. It showed up a couple of days before that, and yeah, it's been an interesting. So Laura and I've played it, I think, 4 times so far, Wormspan, and it's it's clearly. I mean, how could it not be with the span? Not be part of the. But it's not a huge extra lift from Wingspan, but it's a different game.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's been yeah.
you took a sip. I was jumping in there. I'm struck at how egg driven it is and how difficult it is to get the eggs.
Really?
Well, it can be difficult.
It doesn't. I mean, I don't know. So this is the interesting thing about leveraging the cave cards,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know. I don't think either of us have ever been like, "Oh no, I got stuck for eggs." So that's interesting. So what are you feeling about tell me more about the eggs.
Well, so it's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
As Dale and I've been playing this, we find that eggs, if you don't get the right kind of engine going, and sometimes the cards can go in your favor that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they go in your favor that it's a little bit harder to get things done because you don't have all the resources you need.
Right.
And unlike the food where you can donate to get one, you don't have that same option to get eggs.
You don't.
And, but Dale explained it to me like this. She is a big fan of a book series called Fred, the Vampire Accountant by Drew Hayes. And in that world of Fred, the Vampire Accountant, there is a dragon. He's an ancient dragon. And evidently in dragon lore, at least in this book, eggs are hard to come by because female dragons are hard to come by. And so it made total sense to her.
That's funny.
That the eggs were a little bit more difficult to get. So I don't know if any of that holds up. You can check out the Drew Hayes novels and answer that for yourself, because evidently the dragon is masquerading as a little boy to protect the only female dragon that they know to be in existence, who is existing girl, and it's like they're just there to protect the keeper of the eggs. And it's just kind of I was like, okay, I hadn't really thought about.
I mean, because you get an egg every round.
Yes.
And so they're not like you can't have them, right? That's right. I'm interested in the how we think about the meta of games, right? And it feels like this is going back to an early version of the base Wingspan, where it's like you have to make sure you have your food engine going. Yep. And then after that, it's like, well, everything else is because once you do the food engine, then actually you're very close to the extra egg too if you run it. So,
well, you and I may have different rule books, because I think you only get one egg each round.
Yeah. At the end of the round, you get an egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have 2 spots for it. Then you have to put eggs on the card, and then some things will give you eggs. And if you get certain cave cards, though, you'll get eggs, but they don't always fall that way.
No.
And if you want to get all the way across, you need to have
you have to burn some eggs to do that. But it feels like, I mean, I don't know. So far, we've always had. I mean, I don't know. It feels like. The eggs have just not been. Yeah.
I'll be curious because it didn't strike me at the beginning either.
Yeah.
But once we had some time to really dig into the game and really get the cards shuffled and see how they can come out in a certain way, and I have, it's a strategy that I'm kind of leaning towards. Like, I got to get something that's an egg producer.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
Eggs are the core of the world, and you can get the food. You can do the movements, but if you don't have the eggs, you're limited on the movements, and you're limited as to when you can do certain movements that you want.
No, it's true. Yeah. No, because you can't. And I do love that about it.
Yeah.
That you just can't run the engine for forever. You're like, nope, it's going to cost me an egg to do this. Is that actually going to cost, or should I go to the next one down? And it slows the first. So another thing that Laura and I were talking about is, unlike Wingspan, if you've got things going, the game gets longer at the end, as opposed to Wingspan, where it's like it collapses and gets smaller and smaller and smaller because you only have all of the you have fewer times to run your engine. And this is like, oh no, you could run your engine a lot, and particularly in the second and fourth, third and fourth, you're like, no, I'm going to put that cave on the last space so that I can get another time to go. And man, the one time Laura just crushed me. She had a hand of like, play this card, you know, get a disc, and it's like, well, now you're going to just keep playing, and then you're going to keep playing. In those first two rounds, it's just brutal. You're like, nope, I'm behind by two or three turns because I can't. So but then no, it's really sweet because there's also like, well, okay, I can't do that, but I have these other things that I can do, and yeah.
And there is, we know that Jamie loves Lost Ruins of Arnak, and it's one of his favorite mechanisms. Yeah. And I think that little extra board that you can go around and get certain benefits as you move.
Oh, that was super fun.
Is definitely an homage.
Oh my God. And also just such, I mean, that is just okay, you have to, because you want to move like you want to fill in those first two so you can go and just move along that because you get all of the sweet little bennies there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's been an extremely satisfying game. I'm curious though. There have been a number of people in the boards, whether it's, the Reddits or the tubers of you or what have you. Mm-hmm. Keep saying, the one thing I keep seeing over and over again is it fixes what's wrong with Wingspan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
And I'm just not so sure that I see that. I see it being different enough from Wingspan.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's Wingspan adjacent.
Yep.
But I don't know if it necessarily fixes anything other than maybe the mechanism doesn't mean there won't be expansions, but it may not be the number of expansions that you get for birds.
So the thing that we've been talking about, and it fixes Wingspan for people who want more deeply strategic games. You don't have to roll to see what food is there. Like you can just grab the food. You can play the cards. The engine runs kind of in reverse, but it gives you like, but now I can get more turns, right? There's a lot of stuff where it feels like you don't have to do just one thing to get what you need, right? You don't have to do just one thing to get food. You don't have to do just one thing to get eggs. You don't have to do one thing to get new cards. And the cave cards are a way to say, here's extra, like you just get extra. You just get stuff. It's awesome. And then it costs you eggs to do that later, of course. So I see that if you're someone who's like, I really don't like the total randomness, I like controlled randomness, and I like a little more of doing that, and I don't like the dice, and I don't like. No, I can see how it fixes in air quotes that, but yeah. So I think if you're sort of more deeply into the gamer space, yeah, you're like, oh, I looked at Wingspan and said, oh, this is just. Also, there are people who are like, I really don't like birds. Yeah. And dragons are just better.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
But all in all, great game.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's gonna do well. So
it already has done, right?
Yeah, well, in the sense that it was sold out and they're already thinking about, working on the reprint as we discussed last time. So
that's amazing.
So obviously it's been on my table. It's been on your table.
Yeah. So, and you've been through it a bunch of times, it sounds like.
Yeah, not like I said, it's, we got it sleeved. I did the 3D print to better organize the box.
That's amazing.
Always happy to do one for you because you can see what a pain it is to pack it up. Well, I don't know. You may not have a problem with all the plastic baggies. I do.
Yeah, I don't really.
I like things to fit and just sort of.
And I saw somebody who was like, yeah, I have all these other versions of Wingspan, so I'm gonna grab this older box and pack all the stuff into that. It's like, oh yeah, actually that kind of works. So did that today. Oh, it's such a fun game. I've really been really enjoying playing with it. And Laura's like, yeah, this is awesome. Let's do this again.
Now I am extremely interested in the next game that you're going to talk about.
Okay, and why are you extremely?
Because about a week ago,
okay,
I got a text. I'm going to stop doing that. I got a text from Chris and Roberta.
Oh yeah,
game of their table and this game on their table. So why don't you talk to us about it?
So this is Abduction with a DUCK. So it's ducks, and it's a cute. It's a really sort of silly puzzle game with these little tiny hard plastic ducks, and you play them on your particular board, and then you've got cards that let you move them around so that they match a pattern that's in another set of cards. Like you need to make the ducks look like this, and then you get points from fulfilling this card. And then there is also, so there's little plastic ducks, and then there's this sort of soft rubber. So instead of drawing from a bag, you draw from this soft rubber flying saucer. So it's like the ducks have been abducted, haha, by aliens. Yeah. So there's just a whole lot of punny stuff going on, and the game is hilarious. It leans into the puns, all of that stuff. So and you can sometimes steal ducks from other people depending on what your action card lets you do. It's adorable. I mean, it's pretty basic. It's fun. The overproduction of the tiny ducks and the rubber flying saucer is entirely unnecessary, but makes the game just so much fun. But it's not, I mean, I would not encourage anybody to rush right out and get it, but had a great time with friends playing with it. It's yeah.
The Keeners have had it for a while. I don't know if they got it for Christmas or how it ended up on their table.
Yeah.
Have it, and so we will have.
It's super cute, and there's apparently an expansion that kind of makes it more strategic, because it's otherwise entirely just tactics and like playing cards, and you're just doing sort of logic puzzles to make the ducks look like what they need to. It's adorable. I mean, the tiny ducks, it's not like it's just they're all painted in all different colors. It's super cute.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm a little curious about this next one.
Yeah, so this is Pitch Car, which came out the same year that Catan did. So 1995. And it's just this delicious little flicking game. It's hilarious. So you've got it comes with sort of jigsaw puzzled layout, and so you can configure the route for your little cars however you'd like. And then you've got little pawns that are suspiciously the same size as crokinole pawns that you're flicking around. And you're just sort of going around the little racetrack. And it's got little guardrails that go in. And then there are rules for, like, if you flick it and it falls off or it turns upside down or all of these sorts of things. Or if you knock somebody else, and they turn upside down. It's just, and it's long out of print at this point, but man, we were hanging out with friends had gone to dinner, some beers, roller skating, ended up at their place, played Abduction, and played Pitch Car. And they didn't have a table that was large enough, so we ended up playing it on the floor. And we're all people who are not 20. And one of us is 6'4". I am not the us who is 6'4". It has very
Everybody
bad joints
saw us
because
side by side at Mythicon.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. So but they had this little roller disc that he could sit on, so he would zoom around on this. It was fantastic. But just super fun. They lent us this, so when Sky's going to be here next week, so we're looking forward to playing Pitch Car with Sky. It's just a goofy,
Excellent.
wonderful, yeah. And then it was my birthday yesterday, as we have discussed. So these are games I haven't played but have showed up. So Cascadia is a long-loved game with us. So the Landmarks expansion, looking forward to that. And Parks Wildlife. I don't know. Have you played the Wildlife expansion?
That's the third.
I think
I have it. I have not played it. We have Nightfall, which is the second.
Right.
Yeah, and we got the Wildlife. I can't remember why we haven't gotten it out. I think part of it is, you back some games, you back some expansions, and then you learn that in some instances the expansion can ruin your love of the game.
That's fair.
Or not ruin it. Maybe that's the wrong word, but perhaps
it just I get it.
And so we would prefer to play regular Parks over the Nightfall. And I think
that's fair.
That's probably why we didn't rush to get the Wildlife onto the table.
And so Wildlife has the New River Gorge, right, which is the only national park in West Virginia, and which is where Laura is from. So she was like, we're going to have this because this is where I'm from. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, I don't get me wrong. I love the game and I love the game designer. I just, it just wasn't something that was a priority.
Nope, that makes sense. And I mean, we skipped Nightfall. We're just going to go with Wildlife. And it looks like what Wildlife does is adds a little bit more, like, instead of playing all of the sort of site tiles, you have left over. So you don't always see all of them at a time. And you get a little bit more of this and a little of that. And you've got the pardon?
A little more randomness.
Yep, a little more. And you've got the bison that can block you from just reserving a card in the park side. So it looks like it's going to be fun.
Is it really bison or is it Ted Montana's? Are you really just stopping for steak?
That's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, nope, don't eat the bison. And then Turing Machine. Do you know this game?
I mean, I know who Alan Turing is. I assume it's somehow related.
It is. So it's this weird deduction game
which is different than abduction. It's deduction.
It is deduction, not abduction, and there's no ducks at all in this one.
Okay,
which is cool. But is
Benedict Cumberbatch in the game? Never mind. Keep going.
Also not. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a deduction game that has an analog computer as the game.
Okay.
Which is fantastic. And so you
choose that the plot of the Winter Soldier, Captain America, Winter Soldier?
Yeah. No. Okay. But no, it's they're like, here's the puzzle. And then you set out a sequence of cards, and then you're trying to solve them. And what you've got is these little punch cards with these, patterns of things punched out. And you're like, it's going to be a 5-3-2. and you put those together, and then you say, "This is what I think the answer is." And there's another card that when you put all those three together, there's going to be like one open box, and it either says yes or no. And it's just astonishing, just super interesting the way that they had to think through the world to make these things happen. So super excited to get that at the table. Sky will be here. We'll be playing Pitch Car and Touring Machine, I think, a lot. So
I love it. I love it. That's great.
yeah.
That is great.
Yep. And then the last one that showed up, happy birthday, was Scholars of the South Tigers. Have you played any of the Garfield games? Shem Phillips and his crew?
I haven't.
Okay.
I should. A friend of mine at the game store is actually married to a daughter of a friend of mine as well. Highly recommends the series.
Yeah.
And every, I remember I was talking to Darren about his favorite games, and he was like, "Oh, you should try these." And I just part of the reason I haven't is because me, I'm a completionist.
It is true, and there's a whole series.
There's more than one.
Yeah.
And I'm just afraid of that.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Having to explain that to my bride of 32 years.
It's fair. Yeah. So I was excited to get this for my birthday. I thought it was the most interesting sounding one of that series. So and we'll see. Looking forward to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It looks like a good game. I mean, I'm always intrigued by those games for a couple reasons. Number one, the design aesthetic, I think, appeals to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is I love, the Vikings and the Norse and all of that. And there's aspects of that in some of the games. And
yep.
So I am drawn to that. And maybe that would probably be my ability to get into it, is just sort of limit myself to the themes that I do like, as opposed to trying to own the set.
Yeah.
My birthday's
hence Scholars
like to get me the set, but
Oh no. But Scholars translation, it's a game about translating. So as a former French major and scholar,
Zut alors.
But also now a scholar. So it's it was super fun. Looking forward to digging into that. The the weight on BGG is 4 out of 5, so it's gonna be that's gonna be fun. I think that's gonna be a game night one. I think Laura's just gonna be like, what the, so we'll see. Yeah,
that's fair.
Not gonna be playing that one with Sky, I don't think.
Hey, now she's pretty smart.
Oh, she's totally smart, but she doesn't want to dive into that.
Gotcha.
Yes.
It's the Nat problem. Attention span. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, it's interesting. I think those are some really good games. I'm really intrigued by the Cascadia Landmarks. It was a Kickstarter, was it not?
Which one?
Landmarks. Was it a Kickstarter?
So I don't know.
I backed the original Cascadia.
Yep, as did I.
We don't have Landmarks.
Yeah, and I don't know if that just came out because it's a fairly. I mean, it's the same size as the original box, which is kind of interesting.
I recall hearing about it. I think I just decided that I could wait.
No, that's fair.
And maybe I should wait till you play it and then decide, because I like it.
Man. I'll let you know.
Cascadia is one of those games where the girls will play with us.
And I think this adds, there's another layer of like goals that you can get. There's more scoring cards, and the tiles have different forms on them. So that'll be interesting too.
Okay.
Yeah. So like it's a hexagon, right? So frequently it was like 3 and 3 every time, and now it's like 1 and 5, or 2 and 3, or 2, 2, 2. So that'll be interesting to see how those tiles play out, as well as the other
Well, and I think too, I mean,
scoring. Yeah.
What I love about a lot of AUG games is with the Beth Sorbel art.
Mm-hmm.
And it also amazes me how well the art fits together in their hexagon format.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just have a couple of quick updates here.
You got some Kickstarter stuff going on.
Well, nothing new that has been backed.
Okay.
Not since Letters from Rome, which is the expansion for Acts of the Apostles. In fact, I think I got an email that said the backer kit is now open. I need to run over there. So this is just more. There is evidently a bunch of airplanes about to land on my front porch.
Awesome.
These are Kickstarters that I have backed a while ago, and they are at varying degrees, and I've gotten updates in the last week. So I just thought I would run through what should be showing up on my doorstep in the next few weeks. First is Let's Go to Japan.
Yeah.
That was out. I want to say, was that last summer or the summer before? I don't even remember. That's how bad it is. I could probably go and look at the campaign and
Kickstarter like that. Yeah.
See when the darn thing closed. But they did say that it was supposed to deliver in April 2024, and it looks like they're going to hit the target.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which I'm kind of excited about.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
I do have a friend at the game store, Officer Stout, you know who you are, that asked me if I was going to back this game. And at the time I was like, I don't know. And then I did. I don't think I mentioned it to him. So I'm sure I'm going to get a load of, from him.
I don't know what
sure. I'm not sure.
Mulch, a load of mulch.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
On my front porch. The other thing was, fairies, magical creatures. Now this is
yeah.
This is available in stores. You can go to Pineville right now and buy this.
Yeah.
Because I was the level 3 backer that got all these goodies. They had a production issue with some of the goodies, so us, big backers had to wait. And so that's finally coming to fruition, it looks like.
That's good though.
Yeah, and then we talked earlier about cats. Now we're going to talk about dogs. Dog park, new tricks.
Awesome.
Like that has started to begin with fulfillment. So that should.
Those are pretty doggies.
And we did have there was another
doggos.
Dog part adjacent one that was called Forever Home, but they didn't do that as
yeah.
You buy it, and we bought that too. So that'll complete our dog trilogy, I guess.
Wolf. Yeah.
And then Botany, not to be confused with Botany Bay.
No.
From Star Trek fame or the HMS.
Botany, flower hunting in the Victorian era. Yeah.
Exactly. So, more flowers.
Wolf. Yeah. No, wrong. I'm sorry, wrong species.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. You can't make a good flower sound like it's my pollen. Yeah.
And then I backed the second printing of Foundations of Rome.
Okay.
With a bunch of expansions, including the Roads to Fortune. So I thought that was kind of cool. Lots of plastic, I think, in this.
It's fair.
In this one. So we'll see how big that is, and do I have actual storage for it anywhere?
There's that.
And then sorry. The next one is Tengarden. And like, well, wait a minute, don't you already have Tengarden?
It's true.
And the answer is I do.
Yeah.
We backed an expansion that actually just got you a refresh of the whole game if you did a certain level. And I was like, we loved on the first game a lot. That's why I have 2 copies of Parks, because we loved on that game a lot too. It's a great game.
Yeah.
But they have sort of been troubled by some production issues, and so it's later than they anticipated. I think it was originally due in February of 2023.
Yeah.
So it's already a year late.
Ooh.
I trust the designer.
Okay.
I bought from them before. They're the masters of the original Tengarden, and the expansions, as well as the Darwin's Journey, which was also a little bit delayed. So that is not so much way
pirates shooting at you. That helps. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll get those soon, and we'll have
that is a lot of planes landing on your yard, man.
Talk about. Yeah. So I don't know. I think between now and Easter we'll probably see some, and then hopefully our friends at Game Toppers, I backed last, which I think will be the last and final, because I can't imagine what else they would come out with. Now Berkey's gonna top me when I say this. I can't imagine what they would come out with that I would need beyond this last piece, which is the topper for my topper, which basically makes my game table a dining table.
It's awesome. That's awesome.
We'll see. But that is the current state of my Kickstarters. Nothing new has really come out that is I'm
just waiting for some fulfillment myself. So the only last thing, and I think you will love this, Joe, I really wanted to add this just because of you, really. So a couple of my students are in Strahd. They are in Barovia. They are wandering around. They're getting their asses kicked. It's fantastic.
Wow.
And so one of my students, and I thought she was a long-term D&D player. She is not. She's been wanting to play it since junior high. Her parents, and there are families who do this, because sometimes you grow up in very conservative Christian communities who think D&D is the path to Satan.
Yes.
And instead it's the path to vampires, I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
Or an empty wallet, but keep going.
Or an empty wallet, which is a legit concern. So she'd been wanted to play last semester, didn't get into it, joined the D&D club at Furman this semester, and is finally started playing D&D, and she is stoked, and it's hilarious. And so she's in a D&D group with another one of my students, and so they both told the story of this. We never did this, but there's, I guess, a fighting tree, sort of some magic tree that wants to fight you, and for some reason, or maybe there's just this dude running this version of.
We it could be a variant on the. We did do it. It was Baba Yaga's hut.
Okay. Yep. And so there's the and
Baba
so there's
Baba Lasaga. Baba Yaga would be a Who song.
Yeah. Well, Baba Yaga is also a traditional.
Yes.
But but that's right. Yeah. And so so there's a someone who's captured in yours. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yep. So,
but I think every DM will take some liberties with some of the story, because
you should.
As I've said with Strahd in general, it's not a linear game.
No, it's fantastic. It's a giant
across Barovia right into a level 9 situation at level 3.
Yeah, it's a sandbox, and but it was just, that's fun to hear that, like, oh yeah, okay, that's how we did that. Okay. So but it was just hilarious to hear both two versions of what happened. So yeah, and I'm just excited for them to be, for this young woman who's like, I've always wanted to do this, and it was so amazing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad to know that the education at Furman is being held to that high standard.
Well, I'm just super stoked that they're doing this stuff.
That's awesome. I think that's great. I think that, it's funny when I tell people about you, and I do that often.
Yeah, thank you.
They all love the idea of board games as a source of creative writing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good way to keep the hobby going.
Oh, just to give them a chance to indulge this, do this. And it's funny. It's like, oh, I have to play a game every week. And then they're like, it's kind of awesome. Yeah, it is kind of awesome. And it's keep playing games, kids. It's awesome.
And it's kind of the point that it's good that they're learning there are other games besides Monopoly.
Or
if you go another layer, there are other games besides Catan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll even go as far to say there are other games besides Exploding Kittens and Magic.
Yeah.
Because I think those are all, well, some are gateway games, some are lifelong addictions.
Yes, they are. Speaking of empty wallets, yes.
But I do think that that's been sort of the fun of doing the small group that I've been doing. Introducing people to the love of games in a way that is different, and seeing people struggle and remembering what it was like to struggle. I remember the first time I sat down, and one of the first games I ever saw played in the game store was Root. And I thought to myself, my God, I can never do this. What the hell?
Well, Root's intense, man. Damn.
Yeah, I know, but that's like the first thing I see.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bought Wingspan was because I hate blocked it from somebody getting it. No, that's not true. That's not true. I like to tell it that way. Though. No, so the aforementioned Officer Stout. So you really want to go mess with the officer. Had gotten a copy in, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy it before he gets here.
Awesome.
And Shane's like, well, no, we have another copy. Like, oh, okay. Well, do I want this game? And I bought it without any understanding of what it was.
Right. Okay.
That was a prophetic purchase, and I was really doing it to mess with a buddy of mine.
And there it is over your right shoulder right now. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Did I have this new background last time we talked? I can't remember.
We did. Yep. Okay. You did.
I can change those out week to week. I don't know if I'm going to.
I can see that. Oh, and you've got the Wing and the Wormspan. The Wormspan is new, but
I got them side by side. Yes. That's
awesome.
I'm not going to put a green screen behind me.
No. I've got this wall.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and I do other things over there too. That's actually where all the editing happens.
It's so good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, that is it for me this week. How about you?
I'm all good.
Well, we thank you for listening to us today on this episode, the third of the third season, Lay It on the Table, where you can please go to layitonthetable.show and find us for your favorite podcast player. And if there's an opportunity for you to leave us some feedback or review, maybe 5 stars, just anything you can do to help the algorithm, please do. Then, of course, we're also available on Board Game Geek, where we have both a guild and a page, and you can also get episodes of this podcast there. And then finally, if you want to see us, if you want to physically know what we look like and just see how fat I was at Mythicon back in November, I've lost some weight since then, folks.
Oh, awesome.
Please go to YouTube, our YouTube channel, which can be found at Geek and Southern on the YouTubers. And as per usual, I am Joe Mahaffey. I am not bored. I am board gaming.
And I am James Eckelhart. I hope all of your tiebreakers break your way.
We will see you again soon.
Bye, y'all.